There's a phrase I quite enjoy, and is two steps forward, one step back. This often gets confused for the phrase one step forward, two steps back, which is an idiom that, I mean, you can kind of just break down in your own mind, but it's you take a nice little step forward, but then you're ultimately further back from where you were because you set yourself back so much, maybe trying to achieve that one step or just anything along those lines. One step can be, maybe you don't want to drink so much, so you start drinking less. Maybe you don't want to smoke so much, so you're not smoking so much. Maybe you want to wake up earlier. Maybe you just change jobs. And then steps back can literally be anything you don't want to do. Maybe you do ruin your sleep schedule. Maybe you start drinking more because you changed something else in your life. We all live on this almost scale of sorts, and you're trying to even yourself out, or you're trying to make it unrealistic. You're trying to make yourself so great that it's going to bring down other things. At the end of the day, I will get to this more, but we are human. We are ultimately this scale that you are trying to find an even balance in, but people want it to be kind of so wonky to where some things are so glorified and then other things they don't care about. Maybe you love your appearance so much, maybe you're a looks maxer, but then you're not doing anything else in life. Or maybe you're the complete opposite and you don't care about your looks, but you look in the mirror and you just like sigh, but you're doing good in school, so who cares? It's this ultimate thing where you want to find that middle ground of what you truly care about and truly enjoy. But the reason I love two steps forward, one step back is because we are human and we do take steps back. We do deal with issues such as alcoholism and any sort of drug abuse and bad sleep and being mean to people when we shouldn't be. I mean, there's so many issues. I mean, the amount of people I've seen literally see someone walk out of the room and then talk shit about them for almost no reason is so jarring and strange, and that is such a human flaw. And human flaws make us beautiful and unique and great, but human flaws are also something that a lot of times we should want to remove from ourselves. But ultimately, in the end, we will always be flawed. And that is why I think two steps forward, one step back is great, because we should always try and take those two steps forward, because the person who we should want to be is a person better than we were the day before. That is my ultimate goal, and that should be anyone's ultimate goal. It's kind of taken, me some time to get to that place in life to where it's like, I'm not going to make a million steps all at once. I have to be better than I was the day before, and then take a step forward better than that. And I know every day won't be this huge step forward. And some days I will have days where it is, one step forward, two steps back, or three steps back, or four steps back. I have days where I, struggle and I do bad and I mess up and, I'm mean to someone I shouldn't and I lash out and, I'm stressed or I ruin my sleep schedule. There's so many days where, I mean, I just fail. And that is honest and that is truthful. And I'm in this area where I'm transitioning from college to out of college. And there's so many times where I'm like, okay, I need to be a grown ass man here. And I'll fail because I'm still getting used to it. I'm still learning, and there's always things changing. Me being a grown ass man is different than it was 10 years ago, and different than it was 20 years ago, different than it was 30 years ago. It's consistently changing and evolving, and we also change and evolve, within ourselves. And so, yes, I think it is important to kind of remember you will mess up, you will fail, you will ruin your sleep schedule one day, but you did so many of these great things this day. So you should pat yourself on the back and you're like, okay, I want to fix that sleep schedule too. And you should want to even out your things, and you will consistently take steps back, but it's always about taking more steps forward and living a life that you want to live. And of course, there's things such as you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to make your whole life, okay, I'm progressing, progressing, progressing. You do want to sit around and smell the roses. But yes, you want to ultimately continue to move forward and be better than you were the day before, because that's our passion in life. Our passion is to be the person that fulfills our soul and fulfills our heart. And you see so many people become stuck at these jobs because they don't want to take steps out. And it's so much, more clear than that. The job market is screwed in so many areas. Trust me, I know. There's so many, just issues. You have bills to pay. You're stressed. You don't want to go home and apply to more jobs. You don't want to have to go back to school. Yada yada. Yada. Everyone's story is different, and it is a struggle. With so many people stay in these same places, whether it be work or a toxic relationship or a town you don't care for, because it's just where you are in the moment and it's just where you're somewhat comfortable, but it ultimately kind of kills your soul to a degree. And after a few months you wake up and you're like, what have I been doing with my life? Or maybe years, or maybe I don't know, just something terribly sad, because we're not focused on getting out of that spot. I'm going to be honest, in my mind I'm getting a little all over the place here, but this is something I definitely care about, and this is something I have found I own a planner, and I try and check over my life and check what I'm doing and make sure I'm taking these steps forward. So this means a lot to me in taking these steps to be something better. And I've just noticed in all this is that I consistently mess up and consistently quote unquote, trip and fall and mess up. And, maybe I had a bad day at work and I come home and nap and I wake up and I'm like, God damn it, I can't finish everything. And that was my step back. But now I have to take my 2 steps forward and do some schoolwork and work out and do this or do that and make this video. And I do that. And so I want to talk about the myth of Sisyphus. I love I love that name, and I also do love the myth of Sisyphus. You've probably heard it before in class or from some, guy who has his hand up his ass. It is a Greek tale of a mortal condemned by the gods to endlessly roll a boulder up a hill, only to watch it roll back down, representing eternal futility. Futility. Sheesh, I can never be a history teacher. But seriously, this story has been told about over and over and over again. It's just like the story of Icarus, and we're not going to get into the nitty gritty details, but basically this man rolls a boulder uphill and then watches it fall down, and that is ultimately our life. We have this challenge in front of us. Something like me, I graduate college student. College and school was this big boulder for me for over a decade. Roll up, roll up, roll up, roll up, and now I'm about to watch it just come down. This boulder come down, and then it's like, oh, I'm moving over to the next boulder, which is my career, and I'm gonna watch that roll and roll. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna push and push and push and push, and ultimately roll it downhill. And that's our life: is to not get so determined on this one little thing, but like when you're taking your steps forward, it is this thing where you're doing so much at once. You're focusing on your career. You're getting school done. You're maybe making new friends you want to. Maybe you're talking to a nice lady or man. Maybe you're doing these things. It's about kind of living the life that you want to live and not putting all your eggs in one basket. All of us are Sisyphus. All of us, roll these boulders uphill time and time and time again in so many different areas, and then we watch it fall down. That is our ultimate outcome, whether it be something we wanted or didn't want. For a lot of people, graduation is this big, beautiful moment. And my last few graduations have been almost other hell. And I think this one will be great. I'll finally get my last chance and I'll do it right. But it is this thing where, afterwards I would feel empty and not knowing what I was doing. And then I have to move on to the next one. I'm moving this boulder uphill. There's this thing where you should really, I mean, this is a big thing, is that you should have fun in the struggle. You should have fun in the progress. You should have fun while pushing this boulder uphill because you're in that phase. Right now I'm applying jobs and I'm switching out of, I'm really trying to get a career in the smoke because I'm about to graduate, and I hate it and I'm annoyed and I struggle, and I'm frustrated. But ultimately, I should have more fun with that. I should be like, thank God I'm a young, healthy man. Thank God, I was able to be put in this position. Thank God I'm able to switch jobs and look for something better. Thank God I'm doing all this. I should be more grateful. I should be more happy. I should have more fun while rolling this boulder uphill, because eventually when it rolls down, I'll be like, why didn't I enjoy it more? Why didn't I do more with that? Why didn't I have more fun in the moment? And then I'm on to the next boulder and I make the same issue because I just did it before. You need to sit back, smell the roses, enjoy what you're doing, continue to take steps forward, tracking your success, making sure you're not taking so many steps back, but when you do, realizing you're human and continue to move forward. We're all pushing this boulder. We all will continue to push this boulder. And I wish you great success. I wish me great success too, ultimately. And thank you for watching this video. Subscribe. Bye.